morning. Welcome to the broadcast. You're watching New Day Kenya, the hashtag on Twitter, the number 0791478990. And the WhatsApp number is displayed on the bottom end of your screen so that you can be able to share your concerns, your opinion as to the topic at hand. And I'll be talking to life coach Sami Karanja. Good morning. Your time is appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course, my resident panel every Thursday, and Catherine Mwati, who is a counseling psychologist, will be joining us shortly here on the broadcast, and your time is appreciated. A lot to discuss, of course. It's very extensive discussion that we need to look at it from the family perspective, from the society perspective, and of course, doing away with the generalization, since all don't fall into this particular category. However, nonetheless, who is the real man in the society, and what are some of the key responsibilities that we expect, or the society does expect him to undertake?
Thank you so much. That's a good question, to know who is a real man. A real man is well-educated, is confident, bold, and self-reliant. That's a simple definition as it is. Number two, he's a protector of the family. He protects the family and he provides for the family. Then from there, responsibilities are broadly shared according to the laws and regulations of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as we even have this discussion, the concern that comes from many quarters of the societal sphere is that there are problems that are dotting the society, and contemporary Kenya isn't an exception. And how then do we, from the family level perspective, who needs to take up the responsibility in terms of molding this person to be the real man, in inverted commas, as you've mentioned?
Real man, let me tell you frankly, it's hard to be a real man. Very frankly. It's a subject I've dealt with several times. Mm-hmm. But today I want to put it in a very unique way according to the society. Raising a real man in a metrosexual world today, it's you against the world. Trying to raise a real man today, in today's world, may be harder than splitting an atom. That's how.
Which is the smallest section in this case.
Yeah.
Almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
But still, nonetheless, we need to have people who are responsible in the society.
Yeah.
So we still cannot run away from the responsibility.
Responsibility is there, and it will remain to be there. But we need to raise up and stamp our foot and say, this is my son, and I need to raise him. Mm-hmm. Even though there are so many books coming out every month from women, thinking that they know about men, yet they do not understand these men. And
do men understand women?
Yeah.
That might be the question.
Women talk in circles. Men talk in straight lines. You might be talking to a man and he's quiet. But that does not mean he's not emotional. He's being internally emotional and trying to process what you're saying. Because women, they are like a plane. They talk in circles, yet they are preparing to land, yet they have not landed. Mm-hmm. She's complaining about grass cutting. Yes, she's not really talking about grass cutting. She's talking about the issues she has gone through throughout the day.
More or less, they are not crystal clear, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, they have to divert and in diverse way before they land to the problem. Now, the woman might mistake this man and think this man does not know how to process or to think. But indeed, the man is quiet, processing internally, and then he can come after 2 days and tell you, I've been thinking what you told me about last week.
And this is what
and the lady is already forgotten. So she starts asking, what did I say? Then she's reminded of what she said. Then that's when now she'll come up, and it's an issue I was going through the office or through my duties. That's how they understand men. But men are created with feelings differently. There are few men who can say, I love you daily, but there are those men who don't say.
But they still love you.
But they still love you.
Then how do we inculcate that expression? Because in itself, telling that person, of course, there are people who are so important in our lives. And for men, of course, very many men look up to their women, in this case, maybe their wives or even life partners, as embodiment of reason and the wall that they lean onto when problems are part and parcel of their lives.
Yeah.
But how do we then open up as men and express our feelings so that we can be heard, because failure to do that, as you have mentioned, internal processing at times might lead to suicidal thoughts.
Yeah. Now, it depends on the environments from where you came from. And that's why the last time our program I said, a person who has been brought from the village and a person who is processed throughout the town is different. Their mindsets are different because of the issues and backgrounds they go through. If you take a boy child from the town and tell her to milk a camel, it will be hard for him because he has never talked to a camel. But if you go to Garrison, where they do it, it's a simple duty. So we need women who reason in different angles, knowing this is my man, this is my husband, or my brother, or my son, but I need to raise the bar and reason with him in her status quo. Without that, you can't reason together.
But my question, because I don't want to deviate or to take off from the topic at hand, and it's in that aspect that I want to bring this in. Then, as we talk about how we need to open up as men and express our feelings as to what we want our women to hear, how important is it, and can a woman raise a real man, owing to the differences, the dichotomy I've mentioned, as to the different biological, component of the two gender? Can a woman raise the real man that you have described a while ago?
It's hard. A woman cannot raise a man to the par. He can only raise a son, but not the man. Because a man has some feelings he cannot share with a woman. And that's why you see fathers fearing men being mama's boys, because they'll inherit some unhealthy relationships or some unhealthy communications, depending on the background or the situation where they come from. But now when you come to a woman who wants to raise a man, he must have a man figure, an uncle, a brother, who can step in for her to raise a man.
Must there be a man in that equation?
Yeah.
How important is it? Because President Obama, the 44th U.S. president, was raised by a woman.
Yeah,
and
but he had mentors. I've read his biography.
Yes,
he was brought up by society.
But she was very key.
Yeah.
She was very key.
She was.
Without uncles, without people she could depend upon.
You know, in America setup, it's different from Africa setup. Very different. In America, boys are taught to share with their mother frankly, openly, sexual issues, unhealthy issues. But when you come to Africa, it's a taboo. It's a taboo to enter your mother's bedroom. In America, it's not a taboo.
So the society is also a key factor in here. So how important is it to teach the current generation or the coming generation in terms of the inculcation of that, in opening up even to their mother, so that she can be able to hear them and probably engineer measures to address the problems that have been raised by the boy?
You know, mothers are very important to the boy because she's nurturing, she's loving, and she needs to talk. And we cannot ignore that. That's a fact. A boy needs his mother. It takes two, a mother and a father, to raise up a man. Because there are some things a mother can talk to the boy, which you can't talk to the boy in African society. That's how important it is. That's why they are both two important parents who should make a decision to raise up a man, not a boy, but a man.
It depends also with the communication channel.
Yeah,
you agree with
communication channel.
Okay, Catherine Mwati is a counselor psychologist. Catherine, good morning. I'm sure you must have been following the discussion.
So much concentrating on the traffic. I'm very sorry.
It's no problem. It's proving to be a difficult one, and I'm sure you had this when the producers last night, my producer sent you the topic of discussion, which is on the real man. Who is the real man? You have sons at home, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a mother of a son. I've also brought up adopted sons.
Okay.
Yeah, two others, so we can say three. Also, by the virtue of some of the roles I've played in the society, I've worked with young men. Yeah, some from a very young age, others at in their young adult age. Yeah, and A real man, you're asking what it means to be a real
Because
man.
many might be asking, I'm sure the feedback is very enormous today,
Yeah, very.
and I'll be reading. But who is this real man? Because we all are men.
Yeah.
But how does the word real come in, and who is this real man?
What I would say, a real man is one who is able to conquer himself and be exactly what he was created to be. And what do I mean when I say conquer? One who is able to have the right attitude about himself, about other people, and about his position in the society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, now from where I come from, or from where I sit, one who takes care of their roles and responsibility without being pushed. And also one who identifies his purpose in this life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I would define a real man. Yeah. They know their position, first their position in God, because they were created to be providers and to give security. Secondly, in the society, depending with where they are being captured, they also have responsibility as per their cultural background. And now when it comes to sitting in the family, how are they playing out those roles? That even when they start out in the community, how do people perceive them and how do they carry themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, the key aspect about responsibility, Sam, is what we also talked about.
Yeah.
And who needs to raise up in terms of taking up the responsibility? You mentioned the co-option of both roles by the mother and the father, because it's very important that we need to note that closeness to the mother is important.
Very.
For kids inherit immunity from the mother and intelligence. Biology.
Yeah.
Because we have to talk about that. It's important.
Yeah.
Therefore, close cooperation between the mother and her kids is very important. For the man here, though, as we talked about, what we normally experience in our current setup as a society are broken marriages or relationships where the children, in this case, bear the responsibility of the psychological damage. He ends up to be not the real man, isn't it, but the bad man.
Yeah,
That
and
kid.
that's a great effect. And in our society today, I was looking at the statistics yesterday. In Nairobi alone, where we have 4 million people, 800 homes are broken. 800,000 homes, they have no fathers.
So we have single mothers.
We have single mother raising men to be men. What happened? The foundation of the marriage was not set right. Priorities misplaced. They didn't know what they needed in life. What do I mean by that? They did not define why are we getting married and for what reasons, and they stand in for each other's shortcomings. Because without doing so, nobody's perfect. I need to stand in for her. She needs to stand in for me. And by that, the kids are not supposed to be exposed. If you have issues, sort them in your bedroom. Or take a walk and sort them out outside the doors. Don't sort them inside, because kids run through images. And they're very good at articulating images. And once they learn you shout, they will also shout. But if you learn to sort them out, then a father should create time with his daughter and sons. If you have sons, create time for your son. If you have a daughter, create time for your daughter. You are the man of the house. Take charge, put your foot down, and mentor your daughter or your son.
Okay, so communication in this case and
It's very key.
Symbiotic relationship is key.
Yeah.
Because at times they might not open up. They might have problems in school. Maybe they are assaulted and they don't communicate. And then there are also other cases which are very gruesome, and I might not want to mention them on air. So it's very key communication. Then, Catherine, from the psychological perspective, when it happens or we end up with a mother raising, say, 3 sons in a family setup, either divorced or separated, or maybe the father has passed on, it's a very huge task and responsibility, isn't it? So what extra responsibility besides being the mom compounds her to play an extra role in ensuring that she sculptures these young sons to be responsible members of the society, for us to call them the real men?
That's a tough one. Allow me to start by saying there is one thing we need to appreciate.
Yeah.
The bringing up of sons. Let me say sons because they become men as they grow. sons in our community, whether brought up by single women or by functional or dysfunctional families, they have their own challenge. Because even if you bring a boy in a very, in state house, or there are things they will do because they are always boys. They are adventurers. They want to find out quite a number of things. You cannot contain them the way you can contain a girl. Eh? So that is one thing we have to accept, whether they are being raised by by the lady alone or by both parents. Now coming to your question. This one is very much dependent on what has made the mom to be single. For example, if the mother has been widowed, that will be very different because even the society looks at her differently. If I'm a single mother who have gotten my children on my, on my own, rearing up my children on my own, that is also dependent on me and how I carry myself, as much as the society have their feel or thought on me. Why am I saying this? This will determine how prepared am I to take up my task as a mother, as a single mother. For example, if it's as a result of divorce and I feel I was wounded in it, if I'm not careful or if I've not dealt with my pain, I might hurt these men because I'll be seeing maybe a replica of the man who hurt me. So I might not be objective in bringing them up. But if it's as a result of being widowed, I allow myself to heal, and I focus them. I'll always be talking about their father. And maybe some of them, maybe by the age the father is passing on, they have known him. So you have something to anchor to the mother or the father figure.
Okay.
If maybe it was as a result of being jilted, I might want to hide even the father, my son, about the father, and which becomes a real problem, Ayub. I can tell you out of experience and out of the nature of work I do, over 90% of the young men I've dealt with in the rehabilitation work I'm doing, 90%, most of them are the struggle is, who is my father? Who is my father? And in this situation, this now is dependent with the mother. If it's something, whatever happened and we parted company, I need not to triangulate the child in my past. I should look at my past, know how to deal with it, and focus this child the way he should be focused. On the other side, if the father is alive and he's a man of substance who is also willing to take a share of rearing up the son, I would really encourage, let the mother have the father figure come in. If maybe I'm widowed and I have brothers who are uncles now to these sons, or even where I'm married, that family has other men who are also willing to become father figures to my sons, I would really encourage them, because one thing we have to accept here, Ayub, as a lady, I've never been a man. And there are things men go through, Catherine, you never go through. Even if I have a husband, even if I brought up sons, there are things about men I cannot really identify with completely, as much as I'll be talking from the theoretical bit of it.
Okay.
So having a male figure who can be a good mentor for this young person, it will be very, very relevant, so that those things the mother cannot do, they can discuss with this mentor. The other thing, if the mother is somebody who is able to have clear boundaries, it will be very okay, because they will know to what limits they can interact, or to what extent, depending with the issues at hand.
Okay.
However, when it comes to bringing up men or young, the boy child, women are very instrumental.
Okay, you've mentioned three very critical issues, and I like how you have brought it from the psychological perspective. And that is the mother standing up against all the hurdles and bringing up this man. Two, a situation where she can call in her brothers, who are the uncles to the kids, who will be instrumental and will help her. And then number 3, you have mentioned the key issue about the cooperation by both parents in bringing up these kids. Nonetheless, now Sami, I want you to respond to this, because the discussion continues to open up infinite windows, because we seem to be having one after the other, since it's of extensive nature.
Yeah.
And this is my point now, because we'll also be touching on some street children who have no mothers, who have no fathers, but they grow up to be responsible persons who tell a story that when you listen to them, yes, indeed, there was God's hand in this. There was a purpose intervention by the Almighty God. But before we come to that, she mentioned about how instrumental women can be in raising up these men. And we talked about the society, for instance, the American setup and the African setup. Do we need to change some aspects in terms of opening up to our mothers, to our stepmothers, to our grandmothers in the absence of the father, and how important will that be?
Indeed, it's very critical as per today's modern boy child, or rather the man we want to raise. I deal every day with street kids, every day, 5 days let me say 4 days in a week. And the boys I'm bringing up around Wetethie and Kimbo area, they have no fathers. But since I started with them in 2018, 6 of them are millionaires. 15 of them have gone back to school. They are paying for themselves.
Meaning they've ventured into empowerment programs.
Yeah, empowerment program. How did we do this? You have to be willing to step in. It not necessarily, it should not be your child only. Be a father to those who are around you. You have to. If you're created for a purpose, God created each and every one of us with a purpose and with a mission. My mission is to bring these boys to be good fathers, good husbands. Teach them not to answer their wives back. Teach them how to reason with their wives, because they're not in the same category. They don't come from the same background. And I'm happy, since 2018, at least I've been able to impact 95 boys and 86 girls who are responsible, doing business, not employed by anybody.
Okay.
Self-employment. So by that, let me answer this. It's very critical to understand that society looks at you. There are so many young people who are looking at you as as a role model. The image you carry when you discuss here, they say, I admire to be like that man. He might not have a mentor, but he will raise to that level because he has that urge and
inner
desire.
drive.
Inner drive. So if he has that inner drive or urge to be like you, he will look for means and ways to polish himself, create a self-image. Although he may not reach your level, but he will be somewhere because he saw somebody he desired to be like. So that's why I said most of the young people learn how you dress, how you talk, and how you walk. You might never know, but you are a role model. Each one of us is a role model to few, those who are within the sphere of your contact.
Who look up to them.
Who look up to you as a role model. So this is what I want to say. We might not have many fathers, but are you willing to become one? If you're outside there and you're willing to become one, let's join hands and create room for these young people and show them the way and the right methods to live a right life and a prosperous life.
Okay. Then, Catherine, in terms of the connotations that does accompany the societal, what I can call, the societal perspective of looking at the woman from the different lens. I mean, when a woman raises her kids, her sons in this case, because we are talking about the importance of having a man in a society, and they are very key and very significant. Their contributions are worthy. But how do we get away? How do we do away? How do we demystify the societal perspective of the inability by women to raise sons in a given societal setup, especially in the African context?
I love what you're asking because I don't think And that this is one statement I know I really bring out when we are working with those sons who have been brought up by their moms. One thing I tell them is that being brought up by a single mother doesn't make you a lesser man. Doesn't make you a lesser man.
Mm-hmm.
Because our culture or the attitude which culture has or people have towards single women, at times it can be very negative. You know, and more often it's negative. However, it depends on how I look at myself, how I carry myself in that society, and especially coming to terms that they might not really appreciate me as a single mother. However, I'll really do the best in the role and responsibility I have as a single mom. Why? There are some people who are single moms, and you listen to them, it's like, I made the best decision to separate because I realized the toxicity in the relationship was destroying my children. Mm-hmm. So as much as the society wants to look at me as either an irresponsible woman or one who is not submissive, I did it for the sake of my own peace and sanity and for the sake of my children. So in this case, it's about us making a choice of not judging people just by the look. Maybe listen to some of these women and they give their stories and it's like, wow, mm-hmm. How did you manage? You see? But unfortunately, our society judges us without even listening to us. You see? So which makes it quite difficult. However, it is important to know, don't treat people holistically. Can you listen to the story behind that person? Yeah. I've seen and I've come across men who have been brought up by single ladies.
And are responsible.
Very responsible.
Good performance.
In fact, people
than
who
even
love
raised by two parents.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
People who love women and respect women because they always say, if it were not for this woman, I would not be where I am. I appreciate the struggle she has gone through to bring up a person like me. The sacrifices she had to make in her life. Yeah? And I remember in one session, a client I had who said, I look, because the mother was widowed very early, in 30s, mm-hmm. In fact, before 35. And this guy said, I look at, that is the prime age of a relationship. You see, my mother was widowed, and she resolved to remain loyal to her dead husband mm-hmm. for the sake of our children. And at one point, when they were now grown, it's like, Mom, you can't get a friend. You cannot think of remarrying. And it's like, if I thought of that, where could I have taken you?
Mm-hmm. She sacrifices.
Exactly.
So that you can get a proper living standard in life.
And especially for one not to lose the identity. You know, for example, if I get married with my son who is over 20, and I take him maybe, for example, to Karanjala, he's the father. Mm-hmm. The conflict you start there. He knows the father.
It opens up another debate. But can I just ask you then kindly?
Yeah, please.
So what happens in setups where the mother is widowed or she's divorced, mm-hmm. and with, say, a 10-year-old kid, a son, and then she opts to marry? What can be the outcome? Because I know practical examples where I have seen such a setup, mm-hmm. and there were no problems whatsoever.
It is all dependent on how open the discussion and both parties are. Because we have braided families, Ayub, and with braided families, we can agree. And before even we come together, I'll sit down with my children. Mm-hmm. They will listen to me.
How about a 10-year kid?
A 10-year-old kid, if the father died when they knew mm-hmm. the father, they might ask you, so whose identity will we carry? And it can be a little, a debate where both of you have to agree. Mm-hmm. Do we retain our names, or how do we go about it? You see? And especially for boys. Let me tell you, boys, you go with them. I always remember a statement.
Okay.
My late mom in love used to say,
okay.
When you run away with a boy, you are in trouble. You still look for his father. You still look for his father because somehow they will. And they are not going to give you peace till you let them know who their father is.
Better the daughter you can entice.
Maybe you can entice, but also at some age, their key person or the key figure in life is the parent of the opposite sex. So especially when a girl is around 3 years, 3 to around 5, and then in adolescence, the father plays a very key role. The same thing for the boy child. And that's why a boy child, if you become open and you listen to them and you strike dialogue, even in adolescence, they might not give you struggles because they are more inclined to the mother figure. They might not become problematic.
Okay.
However, most of them go through the challenge now of the identity crisis, especially now these 10 to around 14, when others, depending, when they want to identify with that parent of their same sex. And then you start telling them a story that the father died and
yet he's alive.
Yet he's alive. I believe it is always important to first find out from them, would you want to meet him? And it's like, yes. Then, be ready for the stories because you'll be asked questions.
Of course.
What happened?
Lazima kuna maswali.
Unfortunately, most of us are really uncomfortable handling some of these issues. And even if it's a past mistake I made, why not own up I made a mistake? I realized this is what happened. Okay. And I didn't love the man. So I decided to separate. Or we decided to to go.
And here we are with you.
And here we are with you, and I appreciate you as my son.
Okay. Yes, that is a good explanation from the societal perspective as to how we can, or the society or members of the community can be able to get off the rose-tinted glasses that they view the woman who raises her sons well in a society or in a given setup. Sami, we were on the aspect about the situation or the context in which both parents are present, but there is an inability or self-incapacitation of them raising this proper man. Can we also blame them for not taking up their responsibility? Because we have talked about the woman who can raise, but there are situations in which the two are unable.
I think I have 6 to 7 families of such who don't care. They don't care. They don't own. So I have to step in every now and then. But my problem would be if 2 of them are incapacitated or one of them dies, then where do you leave these young men to? Or to whom do you leave them to? That's where my problem is. But mostly what I do, I call them. We go in a session, free session, if they're willing. That's if they're willing. That's if they want to own up the responsibility. And you'll find mostly it's women who agree. Mostly.
Okay.
Men live in denial. They say, I'm providing for them. I'm paying school fees. As if that is all they can do. So what I mostly do, I want this product to be good and effective. I have to visualize what I want to see in this boy. So I step in, and if the mother agrees, in most cases it's women who agree to stand up and agree for us to work together. And I've seen the results. I've seen the results. But now when you leave them, assume Sami will never be back there. It's another problem.
So what is the
That's where now I call in people like
Catherine
to come in and assist them. But nowadays I have developed a method where I don't leave you until we go and walk with you for 5 years. That's how I've developed my curriculum.
Which is perhaps again thereafter you are able to get a certain outcome that you favored from the onset. But as that happens, then in terms of even the provision of men providing for food, for housing, roof over their head, and the kids going to school, for instance, the sons here, because we are specifically focused on raising the son, how then has it proven hard for you to get that analogy out of their heads in terms of it's not only about provision of these, it's more about that, it's psychology.
Mostly them, and especially when they come from good families, average families, they don't own anything. They assume, they live in assumption that their parents can take over or their brothers will take over. I have a family whereby 2 of them have 4 kids and they are not responsible in either way.
And where are the kids?
With their grandmother. With their grandmother.
Wamepatia shosho.
Yeah, hawa kazi yao ni kuzunguka tu na gari kukunywa na kurudi nyumbani.
So in such circumstance, then how then do we, because that Catherine, again, coming to you from the psychological perspective, it might be one family setup, 4 kids, but this family setup is a unit of the society because the society is made up by a family set or build-up. It's like the building blocks in any given house. So if we have, say, 10,000 such families times 4, you have 40,000 kids who have not been cultured, have no discipline. You don't know what they do with their shosho. And at times, we know from the mercy of the grandfathers and the grandmothers, they might be enticed so much that they might not be responsible persons in the society. So how do we get that foreseeable future picture that we are likely to end up with the wrong society?
Thank you, Ayub. Even I wanted to somehow, with what you've asked Karanja, these 2 parents who are not able to bring up this man, you know, the challenge is from these 2. They never agreed on who will play which role when it comes to bringing up children and at what stage one has to be the one disciplining, when are we coming together to work as a team. Because, you know, in parenting, there are times when one has to be firm, the other one has to give a softer landing, depending. You see? Depending, so that you don't lose the child. Now, this lack of defined laws in the family from the beginning, it could resort now to what you're asking. What happens to these, you know, 10, 40, you know, all that, all these children? It's out of no defined roles of who will do what and at what stage in this family. You know, when we come to a couple coming together, I imagine most of them work, okay, at the back of their mind is that we'll be parents at one point. But do we sit down to agree who does what? As early as the intrauterine life and even as the children progress in different milestones. Now coming to that part of very, you know, unhealthy, large number of, you know, men or men who are not real men in the society. It starts with us as parents and as the society. For example, if this man was brought up by a mother who was responsible, he would not understand why you want him to be part of bringing up and mimi nimelelewa na mama yangu. You know, you are well able to do that. That's why you are the mother. So these people need to be helped to understand you play a different role in the life of this child. So kindly come in and take up your responsibility. In our society, unfortunately, we have become so individualistic. Even when I realize there is danger or there is, you know, these people are not really going the right way, I would want to watch, lest I be accused of one who is poking nose where I'm not invited. However, I believe with what Sami is doing, we have very good avenue in churches where we have young parents, you know, parents who have teenagers and all that. And you have awareness programs for them. Let the men, let the women know each of us has a role in the life of every child, whether a boy, whether a girl. So coming to the man, let's also be very clear. The father figure will always be important because there is no way I'll be training my son or even talking to him about the stages of adulthood when the father is there. Why? If I'm alone as a single mother, I will take it up upon myself.
Okay, as the mother and as the father.
As the father, because I am the I am the Kanu here. You know
Yeah,
the Kanu ni baba na mama.
Chama cha baba na mama.
Yeah, so I have to play both roles. But when that man is there, as a lady, I would want to give him the opportunity to take care of his role as the father and as the man in the life of this young man who is growing up.
Okay.
So the one thing I would really insist, even if the man provides, even if he does everything he's doing for the family, that money cannot take up his position as the mentor and as a friend to the son and to the daughter.
Okay.
So that is a role which cannot be exchanged with provision or anything else. Yes.
Okay.
And maybe that is what lacks, and we find people now, it's like blaming. The blame game is like, it is you who is allowing these children to become naughty or cheeky.
Okay.
And especially, children learn very fast. When they realize you guys are not together, hey,
they will give you excuses.
They will come and ask for permission. And when they come now to you, for me, they have asked from the mother.
Yes.
They come to you as a father. But you know, we have agreed with mom. You are according to you have already agreed, so you be manipulated. And because you are not in open terms, they will get a karup hole, and there they will go.
Okay, and that is the vacuum which
The
they
vacuum,
which
longing for.
Yes, which they have been longing for, and once they embark on that journey, then because of your conflict, they will have an avenue to be manipulated by the second resource, in this case, the bad elements of the society. And then some may come to this.
Yes.
Cool kids. They call them cool kids. It's the or the blue band boys.
Yeah.
The BBB. Yeah. So what happens to them when the parents are up to their responsibility? They fulfill some of the roles that they are set to play, and then the child, or the son in this case, cannot be molded. He seems to be more dependent on the second resource, his peer influence, or the peer influence from his peers, rather than what his parents and teachers advise him to do. What happens in such circumstance?
They are there, quite a number of them, and especially in this city. And others, I was in Nakuru, and we have a few of them, quite a number. In actual sense, we have spoiled our society, because now every parent or every parent or parents or guardians, in that matter, most of them think money can mentor a child. And it can shape the child because he has everything. But I want to come back here, as you said. If you raise up a BB boy, he will never become a husband. He'll be a father, but not a husband. He'll never be a mentor to his children. He'll just be there, being proud to be a father who contributes nothing. Now, it takes a wise mother to make sure this man is married to the right wife who can glue this man down to come back to his senses. Because in psychology they say, once you lose the balance between the age of 26 to 35, you'll collect it at the age of 46. That's now when you start defining yourself. Identical crisis arises, and your kids are 15, 14 years. So you can't relate with them because you have never been there at the first place. So you need to raise up and go for counseling, go for mentorship if possible, then come and sit down with your wife and agree on your roles. Play your role. It's just like magazines. They are full of ambiguous sexual models.
But the life story behind
who
that.
are dressed in feminine clothes, posing in homoerotic poses. So when a boy sees that, he goes and buys a trouser and he shapes the trouser according to what he saw.
Dirty jeans.
Dirty jeans. So I want to come back here and say, if this baby boy, I actually have about, I won't mention, but there are about 50 of them. And 4 of them have recollected themselves. But it has been a journey of 2.5 years.
For that self-identification.
Yeah. 2.5 years. Because there are those who are quick to learn and those who are slow to learn. But all of them, it has taken them 2.5 years. Actually, they'll be graduating next year, April. For them now, they are seeing life differently. Maybe he lost his father or his mother. Now the pocket money has reduced. No more say, no more driving, no more cars, no more beers. Such life. Now, when he comes back to you, he will not agree to come to a class of 40. He wants to be treated as a unique kid. So you take that opposition and you give him some questions to ponder and write an easy. When he writes and you go through with him, he realizes, oh, I need to grow up. So we need to step in, shape up the society.
Okay.
And it is my passion. And this is what I do with churches mostly. Because most churches don't have programs for families. Most. And a few mosques also. If you come for a Friday prayer, that's all.
Okay.
We don't have gurus like if you go to Singhs and Buddhas, they have gurus who train the families and a man to be a family.
Okay, before I come to Catherine, because it seems that we have also requested our viewers to be calling from home. The WhatsApp number displayed on the bottom end of your screen, the number 0791478990, the hashtag on Twitter, NewDayKE, the short SMS code 40920. Winnie is now on the line here from the county of Nairobi. Good afternoon, Winnie.
Good afternoon. Hi, Ayub. Hi, Sam. Hi, Catherine.
Morning to you, Winnie.
It's good to see you guys. You've been really doing a good job.
Thank you so much, Winnie. And of course, the set misses you. Hopefully, then in a week's time, you will be here.
Hopefully. So, but yes, I should be back by next week. So, yeah, I'm going to see you guys next week.
Well, I'm sure you're excited with this topic. So, what's your thinking about the discussion that we're having with Kate and Sam?
I know, yes. I was following actually the topic. Sorry, I didn't mid the show. But I think what I would say is responsibility is a personal choice. I mean, and I would say this, I could be wrong. I mean, Sam and Catherine might correct me. But I think what I would say is, you see, we can blame parents for not being like the best role models for their kids. But then again, and what I've seen from my village, where I come from, there's some families who it is very dysfunctional, but you'd find that there are a set of kids who turn out to be responsible people, you know, because they do not want to repeat or a repeat of what they have grown up knowing. And there's some families who've had like the best role models. The parents are very hardworking. You know, they've given the best teachings to the children. But still, you find that some of these kids actually turn out to be wayward, you know. So I think for me, and as I grow older, I think I tend to believe this, that responsibility really is a personal choice. You know, and I would say, I think there was a time where there was a lot of blame game where people would blame single mothers for raising men who are not men enough. And I don't think that's fair, because we've seen a lot of men who've been raised by single mothers and tend to be responsible and respect women, respect their families and all those things. So I think in a nutshell, because I can talk for too long, I would say is responsibility really is a personal choice, because there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make at the end of the day to ensure that, you know, you are a responsible person, you are a respectful person in the society. So not so many people can make the sacrifices, others can, and turn out to be, you know, good people. So
okay.
That is what I would say.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much for the weighty input, and it's appreciated, cherished always on the broadcast. Winnie, thank you, Lubesh Besh. We'll see you
very much.
We'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
Support.
Asante sana, thank you. Enjoy your holiday. Thank you so much. And she more or less talks about the responsibility that needs to be assumed by both ends of the family setup in this case, and it's a matter of choice in you wanting who this kid or who this son wants to be in future, because you have to determine what he wants, and then vis-a-vis what you want, and then you arrive at a point of agreement, because you have to also respect what he needs to be in life. He doesn't want to be a doctor, he wants to be a pilot, so you don't have to force him to go to a medical class. And Catherine, to you, now we're still on the matter, then we have, because it tends to have this set of a dynamic effect on the family setup. Sam just talked about an example where he has kids, sons in this case, who have failed the test of the parenthood and not adhering to what the guidelines or what the parents wants them to be, or the parent want them to be. And they end up with this mentality, the psychology that it's all about money, it's all about materialism, and it takes time before that is taken out of their thinking process. But to you, and I want us to take a look at it from this perspective, then what happens in the event that the places of worship, say institutions like mosques and churches come in, or charity organizations come in, or well-wishers who come in for adoption purposes, just as you have mentioned, when there are no parents at all? And how hard will it be for them, unlike their parent, because of the biological connection? How hard will it be in terms of them bringing up these kids that they have adopted or taken from homesteads where they have no parents at all?
Okay. Adoption, I would say, when it comes, if it's about adoption for bringing up...
Can I just pause you as you continue and get this phone call from Samson, who is calling us from the county of Vihiga. I'm sorry, you'll continue with the point. Right. Hold on for just a moment. Yes, Samson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother. How are you?
Habari ya asubuhi, baba.
Mzuri kabisa, mimi nasikia, naona hiki kipindi vizuri sana sana.
Orie
malai mno.
Mulamu sana.
And I'm thoroughly enjoying the conversation.
And we thank you so much for calling from the county of Vihiga. Asante.
And I'm a grandfather. I want to thank God for you three.
Okay.
I have two requests. I have I lost a son in 2018 who left a widow with two lovely children, and I have asked her to watch this kipindi, and she's watching it from Nairobi.
Okay.
I would like to, if it is possible, for Catherine and my good brother, if they can give them the telephone number so that they can also share these wonderful experiences with her.
Okay.
She's having to raise two little boys, and she's a widowed mother.
Okay. Asante sana, thank you so much. We definitely will be getting your contact, and then I'll provide Sam and Catherine with them. They'll be getting in touch with you within the course of the day.
Thank you very much indeed.
Asante sana, tumeshukuru.
Asante.
Asante, thank you so much. That was a caller calling us, it's also a viewer calling us from the county of Vihiga. You can see the concerns down there. Yes, many Kenyans are unable to speak. That's why the media comes in.
Actually, there is a girl who Winnie connected me with from Embakasi, and they're doing well with the father. The mother had denied her a chance meeting the father.
Thank you. We'll continue. Yes, Catherine, you had a point. In terms of the churches, mosques, charity organizations coming in, and willing parents and watu wamejitokeza, wasamaria wema, who take up these kids, how hard will it be for them to bring up, for instance, the real man that we want, other than also, in retrospect, vis-a-vis the other setup where the parents, the mother and the father are there, and the closer biological connection that exists between them?
That's what I was saying before the call came in, was that adoption is not a solution. It's not a solution. Because I might be, and I can tell you that one I do because I have adopted kids and I've lived with them. And it is very hard for them to adjust completely. You might be doing whatever you are doing thinking it is the very best, but there's that feeling of, I'm not getting the best like the others here. That's a feeling from them which I don't know what needs to happen for them to change. However, I will go to what Winnie has mentioned. At my level, I need to start giving my children responsibility. Because even if it's about having money and having everything, this money didn't just grow from trees. Even if it grew from trees, somebody had to harvest it, isn't it? So they need to know that they have a role to play. And even if you remove them from the biological parents, they go to the adopted parents, if that is not dealt with, we still not get the real man. So it's about how much do we involve our children, even in the roles they are supposed to play as ladies and as young men, for example.
Okay.
There is no way, Ayub, I'll go to start changing a bulb when my son is seated watching Terry. No. I have to make sure that I involve him. Why? This is the man's responsibility. There's no way I'll go start opening a socket when he's seated there, even if I'm a single mother. Why? Because I want him to learn the responsibilities for a man. There is no way also I'll go cook when I have adults of 18, 20 years, girls, who are seated. And even this man, why? Because when he moves from my house, if he starts working and he moves out, how would he know to do ugari, mchele, chapo, and all the like? Let me train him. Unfortunately, in our society, and especially for the middle class and the affluent, that's where the challenge is.
Okay.
We bring in workers.
Watch.
And you are now even somebody who is a house girl, because you are paying them, that they are the ones to clean even the bedroom of a young adult.
To clean after adults.
To clean, exactly, you can imagine. Do their washing, clean their rooms. We have contributed to the irresponsibility. We see. You're the BBB mnasema. we contribute by not giving them the tasks which will make them take up the responsibility of who they are supposed to be in years to come. In fact, I always say it's a devalue. We do devalue our children.
Okay.
I will bring in a girl from the village, train them on how they do my menu, and I have left my adult daughter seated, who, when they go to their house, they'll be buying, is it Indomie and noodles, and eating very unhealthy, when I had an opportunity of helping them to become good homemakers, as they learned how to make dinner or even lunch during the holidays. So the same thing with even the young men. So as much as we are talking of the kind of environment we take them, even if it's from the church background, and no. If the parents are there, can they be the people to give responsibility and train the children on responsibility? If I adopt a child,
Okay.
let me know that I am the parent, because I'm not waiting for any other parent to come. And the same way I have trained my own, let it be the same way I will do it. At times it might be met with a lot of resistance, and especially in the community, because people look to you as you are mistreating.
Okay.
Especially when it's a child is adopted.
Yeah.
I always tell mothers, and I remind myself, it's about your conscience. If my conscience is not pricking me, that what I'm doing is wrong,
Yes.
and I know without genuineness I'm doing it for the good of this child, allow the community to judge. Ayub, in this life, I've learned 3 things. None of us. It doesn't matter who you are. Whether you are the president or you are even the lowest in the society, there are 3 things. You and I will never be in control. You'll never be in control of what people want to think about you,
Okay.
what they want to say about you, and what they want to feel about you.
Okay.
And what makes us not act the way we are supposed to act is, na watu watasema nini? Kindly allow them to talk, because it is them at their level.
Which drags you back because you think about what they think about you.
And then, when things don't work, there will still be the same people to talk and say, muangalie. So do what is good for you, guided by your conscience, and how you connect with your supernatural or your higher power.
Okay.
Your God.
Because it's not your business to think about what they think about you. It more or less gives you further stress and even more psychological damage as the lines or the lyrics are composed in the famous Kidudu Mtu Swahili song.
Yeah, the
Hata
Tarab song.
usutwe sutwe bado wataendelea tu kuongea.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Let them
Whatever
talk.
they say, let them talk. We
Let
are in a
them
free society and they have the right to do so.
But when they talk, even if they talk, respect them. Don't even pick up quarrels or fight. However, even when somebody brings it and you know it is, for you it is genuine, have that peace, because just tell them, I appreciate and respect your decision or what you feel. However, allow me to be me at my level. Yes.
That line says, we mhodari kusema ya watu, hata usutwe jokoma kijudu mtu. Yako yanakushinda, unasimulia ya watu. And we have Odhiambo Jalala from Kisumu. He says, a real man is one with 2 boxers and the rest are rumors. And this is his view. We also have this feedback from apparently the name never mentioned. Hello Ebru TV, I love the topic because it really is helping people who are undergoing into such problems. And Elizabeth says, good afternoon, enjoying the show from Kabiria. And Rosemary says, is it a must to be brought up by both parents? Because me, my siblings, were brought up by a single mother, but we have good and happy life because of her, though it's not enough while our is alive. So more or less she talks about the vacuum also, which exists despite her mother playing that instrumental role. Sami, I want us also now to talk about the flip end of this now, the byproduct of the real man we have talked about, the process that needs to give us this real man who needs to take the responsibility. Then it comes to the walking into of the society den. Here you have a lot. You have to be respectful in public, you have to be decent, you have to also, you bear the need of looking for a life partner, in this case a wife. And the problem is, as you have mentioned, all this, it's dependent on how we bring this son up from the onset. Can I get a reason, Sami, from you, since you meet people who have problems in terms of family breakups and people who experience domestic violence, the reason as to why we are continually recording an upsurge in the number of family breakups or relationships that are at the moment on break because of either partner problem from the son's perspective?
You know, your life has changed in different ways. And the more it has changed, responsibilities have shifted from one goal to another post. So we don't, most of the generation we have of my own generation, most of them, 40% of them, as long as they provide, they care less about other things.
Can I just pause you?
Yes.
You'll continue with the point. Of course, hold it there. I'm sure you're sharp. You don't forget that, Ali.
I will not.
I hope it doesn't evaporate. Victoria from the county of Mombasa, 001. Good afternoon, Victoria.
Good afternoon. I am watching the show. So I am a 23-year-old. And I have a
22.
boyfriend who's 26 from Nairobi, but he's been raised by a single parent, single mom, and basically it's the issues you guys are discussing right now, and I am really trying my best to help him out to grow from all this. Like, there's a lot of peer influence around him, like drinking and all that, and I don't even know how to come through for him with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'll be able to link you up with Catherine and Sam.
Please, that would be real nice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll be getting down your contact so that we'll be able to get in touch with you within the course of the day.
All right, all right.
Asante, thank you so much for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, Sami, go ahead.
I was saying there's a big difference. As I've said before, responsibilities have shifted according to the way families have shifted. It's just like now we have the new norm.
Because of the coronavirus.
Because of the coronavirus. Now the new norm has shifted goals, or maybe even before it was there, the goals shifted longer, and especially in my generation. Men of my age say, as long as I'm providing for that woman and his kids, actually not a wife, as long as I'm providing for that woman and her kids, I'm okay. So they don't really think, which role am I supposed to play in this family as a man? To raise up my own son, or my own daughter for that matter, to be a woman that I want to see, or a man I want to see in them. So, when it comes to us as community workers or volunteers who deal with these kids, as you have heard them calling and they want help. So when it comes to me, as I told you before, I visualize what I want to see.
Okay.
As long as there is that urge, that strong desire in her or him to become what she wants to be, with or without her parents, that's exactly what I will do. I want to see the good product. So I start visualizing according to the way we have shared what she wants to be, and I set my mind on that, what she wants to be, and then help her out. And if she performs well, then I link her with a donor to go to school and get that full furnished education, and she becomes a product of what she wants to be and what I want to see after 10 years from then.
Okay. So in your view, then is the cause of family breakups and relationships that at the moment are on pause because of men failing to take up responsibility? And is this because of the foundations that have been weak in terms of being raised up by families or units that never took their responsibility very seriously?
However much we want to rectify these mistakes, it is impossible because they are not willing. Most of the parents are not willing. And if you go, he tells you, is it your business? Ni shida yako ama ni yangu? As long as they eat and go to school, I have not asked you to sponsor them. So you see, when it comes to that stage, you also be wise. Don't interfere. Because he might end up not providing at all and then tell you to take up the family. So you must be wise as you raise issues. You also look for means and ways to help him to grow up.
Okay, Catherine, then in the end point here is about the assumption that many men in the present society are unable to play the roles that they ought to be playing. Can we pin this to because of the foundations that are weak in your view, or is it because of them not wanting to take up this responsibility despite the inculcation of discipline and decency by the parents?
Okay, allow me to look at it in both ways. It can be from the family or from the person. Because if the person is not self-driven, they will not be willing to take up any responsibility. If they don't have that self-drive, they will not be willing to take up any responsibility. That is one. When it comes to the family, how they have been captured and nurtured, this informs a lot. Allow me to capture this. Unfortunately, our society, it's like they have a prescription for men. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are supposed to own. They are not supposed to own up that they are challenged.
Usilie.
Ukufe kimwanaume.
We ni mwanaume.
Yes, and that's why we are seeing a lot of suicide, a lot of substance use, a lot of frustrations, and they know how to bottle up things. And when the might just bros, they just kill the family and they hang themselves. However, okay, why? Because the society has taught them or has taught them, as a man, you cannot do this. As a man, you cannot say that you are not able. As a man, you cannot admit that you are losing your ground. This one, I'll tell them, excuse me, you are a human being. At any one point in time in life, all of us lose ground. Or you feel your ground is not stable as you would want.
It's shaky.
It's shaky. And at times you realize even the feet, your feet are wobbling, your knees and all that. Own up and accept where you are at that particular time. Because that might be the starting point of you getting a better grounding. When you go to somebody like Sam or another person, you lean on them, air out what is happening, and you get a right focus. Maybe it's just a matter of having been overwhelmed, by whatever was happening around you. But you go to this person and you get the right focus, and you regain your insight and you move on. The other thing, when it comes also to how they have been captured, it's unfortunately we are living at times, Ayub, and I start to be corrected, where there is an element of a lot of competition and wanting to be like the other person.
Okay.
And we forget we are not it's like we have not been created with the same material. Some of us can stretch and re-stretch. There are others who cannot be able to stretch as much as others. And this starts even from the family. Let me not compare that. You see your brother is doing this, and he's younger than you.
You have to do this.
You're supposed to lead by example. We are not of the same makeup. We might have the same genes, but our way of handling issues is different because of the uniqueness of us. So, when we give them, we capture them the right way, we also motivate them and make them realize that they also have a role to play. As much as I guide you as to be the best child or to be the best father, or you have a responsibility of accepting and also doing your part. Yes. So this is something I wish, as much as we are guiding them, training them, let them also give them the room to try it out, to work it out.
Yeah.
Yes. Like now, I remember some times back, we went out of the country with my partner.
Okay.
And we left all the responsibilities on our kids. And I will
Wajipange.
never forget when my son called and said, hey, if this is what it feels to be adult, then it's not. I don't know where we were rushing to become adults. You know, where we were rushing to become adults. You know, we know how to come home and find everything put in place. And we didn't laugh with the dad when he said, you know, now I have to come home and know I do daily farming. Eh? These guys are now calling me and they say, there is no daily meal. And it's like, guys, you know, but what does that tell you? He has learned what you do.
What you go through.
Yeah,
it's not a smooth sailing process always.
Exactly. So he did not wait to call us and ask what to do. He knows even where he goes for it.
He admitted it blatant.
You know, he took it up and he learned with it, because one thing they know, leave alone even the daily meal, even the other fodder, he has been parted to it and where to get it and all that. So what am I trying to say? Allow also them room, you know, to take it.
At times deliberately.
A very deliberate move. I love when I'm away and my elder daughter says, hey, nowadays I'm me mama wa nyumba. So it's like, you know, you want everything to be done here? Ask me. Me do your mama wa nyumba.
That is the assuming of the roles.
Yes, I've assumed mom's roles. You know, if it's like directing even the house help and all the like, and even doing what needs to be done. So as much as we train them, let us allow them. Because when we allow them, there are those areas that will not be as per the standard. But with the time, they'll be able to work it through, and all of us, exactly, they'll perfect.
They'll be able to cope.
Yeah.
Yes, Sami. As we conclude on this, because of time, and how paramount is it then that as a society, we need, as a society, with the need of having the intra-conversation as to now bringing up a better man and a better woman, because it's dependent on having a very set and guided society that is calm?
We need to set rules and goals. In every home there is a rule. I always say it like this. Every game has a rule. And when you want to become a man, you must score the game. If you're playing draft, you want to become a king, so you must calculate your way to the kingship. If you want to become a queen, you must also calculate your way to queenship. So this is what I would say as a parting shot. We need to raise up to the occasion as parents, as guardians, and raise these people to assume their responsibility, or rather to learn to run things on their own. As Catherine said, I remember one day I went to India for 6 months, and I have 3 sons. I don't have a girl.
Apparently.
Apparently. So I left, we did a shopping. I asked them, is this enough? They said, yes. So I did it intentionally. I left some money in my bedroom, and I didn't tell them where it was.
In case.
In case. So I left. They took me to the airport and drove back home, and they continued with life. So one day, they were cooking and gas goes kaput. Now, they don't know how to connect the cylinder. They don't know where the steel wire is, so they have to WhatsApp me. And I'm giving them instruction through the call. Just go here and here and here and do this. Your internship, what you pay there, a gas is 1,800.
Okay.
You can fuel the car. They never touched my money. They never. Why? Because they learned it. And I'm one father who doesn't limit things. So if I give you a car, make sure it's on me. You learn responsibility from the word go. Yeah, one day Kevo took a car and they went to Thika to enjoy themselves. And they got stuck in Juja.
And they had no money to refuel.
Yeah, they have to get fuel. And they made sure they did it before I came home. And when I came, they didn't tell me.
Because you're in Kesingine.
They tell their aunt
Yeah.
when they visited there and they in Buruburu, and they told their aunt, hey, this is what happened. You guys, because they went and enjoyed themselves and they forgot they had to fuel the car. So they had to borrow their friends' money to fuel the car.
So next time they look at whether it's on
so
E
next
or
ti-
it's
so
on F.
I always remind them nowadays, I don't have to tell them about fueling. So whenever they want to go, the car is there, provided for, but take care of the car. So when they bought theirs, they knew how to manage the car.
Yeah, that is
In short, what
responsibility.
I'm saying, responsibility starts with an onion, a tomato, an egg, and a scrambled egg. Teach them simple things, how to make tea, wash dishes, like that. How to iron their shirt, how to dress. It's simple as that. Responsibility does not start big. It starts with small things. Do you know how to clean your room, your shoes? Do you know how? Those simple things. You know, you can enter a house and the house can tell you, these kids are irresponsible because of the way they leave their things on the table, in the bedroom, everywhere in the staircase. So responsibility starts with you, and then you share it with somebody else, and then you shift it to your neighbor.
Okay, which again becomes an all societal affair. Catherine, I'll give you the last words before we draw the curtain on the broadcast. And now looking forward, of course, this has been a discussion on social media. And it, of course, is a concern to many Kenyans as to the generation of young women and men who are coming up. And the fear is that when they assume the roles of parenthood, then we are unlikely to have marriages that have ended up in success like what we have in the societal setup, mashinani, for example, because the notion is that our parents, your parents, had treasured marriage as an institution beyond the man and the woman. The problem in the contemporary society is materialism, money, shortcuts in life, gari, Instagram, picture, photo, Facebook, and that. How do we need to have that discussion on these that are driving young men and women crazy and not valuing the importance of a marriage institution?
Thank you for this question. Very important. One key thing, we have to capture them with the right value systems, the right things to do at every stage in life. Let them know relationships are not about, they're what I would call vanities. It's about what do you want in this kind of a relationship? What do you want to bring in? What are you willing also to trade off that you can be able to accommodate each other? Then we'll stop looking at this other person not doing as who is doing, and you have a common goal we are all working on. So for this, for the marriage institution to stand and for us to see a different breed of families coming up, our greatest role here is to, can we capture them the right way? Can we continue mentoring them? Mentoring them even in this institution. Let them know that it is not what they see in the soap operas. No, those are acting. The reality of life is, life at times doesn't give you exactly what you are looking for.
Yeah.
However, how do you work around the scenario you are in to get what you are looking forward for? And even if you don't get what you really wanted, how can you settle for what you have as you work towards what you are looking for? In a relationship, let them know each has a role to play, and each has to agree to work with each other. It is not a one-man show. It is us as a team. Okay. And then the other thing I would want to say even to us as parents, everybody wants to bring up the best child. There is one thing I've learned for the years I've been parenting. There is no manual for parenthood.
Okay.
No manual.
It comes automatic.
Exactly, and in your situations. However, we have one great manual from the order of life. Who is God, the creator? At times I might do everything as a parent and it's like, what is all this? Parents, don't tire. Don't even open your mouth to scream. Can you go back to the one who gave this child?
Yes.
Now, I'm only a guardian with you. hapa manyu haifanyi kazi.
Courtesy of responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do I go about it? And God has given wisdom, even in very tough situations.
Yes.
And you have seen kids who could have been destroyed, the parents coming in and supporting and becoming, and that transforms the life of that child. So as much as we want to really do parenting and do things, maybe the way the world is looking or giving us,
Okay.
kindly let's remember, we are only guardians together with the sole creator of
Okay,
life.
because no one chooses who his parent is,
Exactly. Or who's
and
the
where to
child.
born, how to born, how
And
to be
even the
born.
child you get.
Yeah, and whether male or female.
Yeah.
It doesn't. That
Yes.
that is not at all our responsibility.
And what he said when he was starting,
Yep.
there's something he said about God created everybody for a specific purpose. How I would wish we can embrace that. Because even the ones we look like they are gone cases, we would still continue asking God, what is your purpose and your will here?
Okay,
Yes.
one final question as we wrap it up, and I'm coming to you, Sam, on this. Hello, Ibru TV. I'm Kate from Zimmerman. At what age should a man be responsible and ready to settle for marriage?
Last time I said 28 to 30. Because between 24 and 28, this guy is still exploring life. He's not settled. He doesn't know what he wants. But at the age, towards the age 27, 28, especially 28 and 30, this man is settled. He has done exploring, knowing which chick from where, which one is which one. Now he's settled and he has values. Number two, marry a man with a vision, not money. Vision is the key. Without a vision, without goals, that marriage won't work.
Okay, yes, Kate? At what age is proper?
I said this is very personal. Why am I saying it's personal? There are those who have gotten married even below 25, 23, 24. Some 2 weekends ago, a weekend ago,
Yeah.
I witnessed a marriage of between 25-year-old.
Yeah.
The guy is 25. And he's very responsible. He stepped out of the father's house 2 years ago. You know, somebody who has been settling. And it's like there are people who have courted for a time, and for them this was time. So I imagine it is about that individual. There are those men who mature early. There are those who also delay. There are also those who have their, it's like they have set goals. I want to have family by the age of 25, 27. So that maybe by 35, I would have achieved 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You see? So depending with the individual, the uniqueness of each individual, we cannot say that this is the right age. However, when you are still negotiating these stages of development, there might be challenges. So, as I had earlier mentioned,
Yes.
mentorship will be very key. Even as they wed, let's not leave them like now, they are mature enough. They're only starting a journey. Can we agree?
Which needs more guidance.
Exactly.
Because
Can we
there's no
agree
manual.
There is no manual. And I like this thing I've read in the social media that the marriage institution is the only institution where the candidates get certificates before they do the exam. Why? Because there is no turning back. Because it's like if you go through it and then you come for the certificate, I don't think people will be going for them.
There's no salary, you will work full time, no
It's just
off
like a
days.
driving license.
Yeah.
It's red. It tells you you either drive responsibly or you die.
Or otherwise, it's the color of your blood.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all about us also taking hold of their hands and walking with them.
Yeah.
Because all of us, let nobody ever lie to you, Ayub, that there is a very smooth and good marriage.
Never ever.
Unless one is pretending.
Okay.
Because you are two unique persons and you think different.
Who met?
Who met?
To say one comes from Kakamega, the other comes from Muranga, different ideologies.
And even if you are from the same location, you are not brought up by the same parents. So there are things which you are being done differently in your home state, and breeding these two people together, to start working together and to do things together and even to bring up children together, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of grace, a lot of
Tenacity.
exactly, and that willingness not to let go.
Okay, and it's very important that parents still will be part and parcel of that process, because
Please allow yourself
the
to
guidance,
work with your children.
Yeah, is
Yes.
needed. At times, maybe even, yes, they might have attained 27, 28 or 30, but there are some aspects that need experience in life, and they need not to rush in terms of making decisions, because the consequences will be far-reaching.
Also have open up discussions with them. Don't pretend like now, I've been married for the last 29 years. Let me not pretend to my son who's married for 1 year that my marriage has been the best in heaven. So it's like when he makes a mistake, he feels like, what? Where will I go?
It's normal.
We had our own challenges.
Our own problems.
So come, let's sit down and see at this age, what were we struggling with? And the minute you are open with them, they also get a friend they can share their challenges with. Yes. And it's like, oh, you are even thinking of maybe buying a car at this age. That for us at this age, the challenge was food or even a hospital bill. So, and it's like, oh.
Kumbe.
I remember when my son talked of the fee, the fee which is expected for delivery.
Okay.
And he said, and I remember making fun. I said, we paid your CS fee with your dad for a whole year. So it's like, what? Yeah, you are not the first one. We have been there. We have come out of it.
And now that there's insurance, the people are working. Maybe he's even lucky.
That's what we told him. You people, you are lucky.
Yeah, but he thinks that maybe yours was proper, was perfect, and there were no hiccups at all. Well, Catherine, Mwati, and Sam, we have to leave it there because of time, because the news will be up and on in the next 7 minutes or so. But your time is appreciated. It's worth it to get your inputs, and very weighty for that matter, on this topical discussion, which is very important. And thank you so much for coming, Sam Karanja, life coach. And thank you to you, Catherine Mwati, counseling psychologist. And my producers will be up with the contact numbers of the viewers who called in and want some help and form of intervention. And hopefully you will be present in this time of need. And thank you to you too. Tomorrow, yes, Nalima. Okay, no problem. You'll get in touch with them. And I'll be seeing you tonight for the primetime news. We'll be talking about the BBI. Of course, members of parliament will be here tonight from 9 p.m. to 11:50, 10:50, if I'm not wrong. And we'll see you then by the grace of God. For now, though, up next is the 1 p.m. news with Kenneth Kazungu. Good afternoon.